Early morning at the Dawson family farm, we see Angela kneeling at her family's graves. She was crying as Ethan went over to her, hugging her. He held onto her. "It's not your fault," he said, crying. A little later, we see them walking inside one of the barns as Ethan opens a trap door, revealing a bag of guns. "You really think we can trust Liza? After what she did to Pop?" she asked. "That was Kate," he said. "She was an accomplice," she said, angry. "I know. But Angela, we're running out of options and time. There's not many of us left. Whatever happens, you have to make a choice," he said before she interrupted with a "No! I won't do it! Not again! I made my choice, and Joshua and Pop paid for it. I can't make another choice like that," he said. "You have to," he said. "Why does it have to be me?" she asked, breaking down. He held onto her. "Because you have the best judgment between the both of us." And looked, seeing that the Patriots were talking to one another. "New orders," they said. The siblings noticed that they all packed up and began to drive off in their Humvees. Angela and Ethan stood there, perplexed. "Where are they going?" he said. "I don't know," she said. "Angela, I'm sorry to keep putting you in this horrible spot, but what are we going to do now?" he asked. At nighttime, we see a large squadron of CRM helicopters in the distance, flying through the sky. They were visible in the dark night sky as they hovered over the earth, heading into an unknown location. In Eden, we see several Humvees driving into the community. Immediately, bloody and furious Trevor steps out of the car and fires his gun. The loud gunshot wakes everyone up as Isaiah went to his wife. "Isaiah, what's wrong?" she asked. "Bethany, take the girls and hide now," he ordered her. Bethany listened and left the room. "Okay, girls, come on, let's go." She takes their hands as Isaiah took his old flint shotgun from the top of the chimney and went outside. Many of the other men inside their homes followed suit. In the woods, Manny and Obadiah aimed their guns, looking on. "What the hell is going on now?" he said. They looked in, seeing the Patriots in the town square. "Ugh, is that Trevor?" Manny asked. Isaiah and the other men stood forward to Trevor and them. "What is the meaning of?" he said when Trevor fired a shot at their feet. "I'm only going to ask this once. Where's the whore?" he asked. "I don't know what you're," he said when Trevor smacked him. The other men tried to step forward with their guns, but Trevor's men in the back, they surrounded all of them. The Amish men were all outgunned and outnumbered as they were slowly disarmed one by one. "Spread out! I want everyone brought here now!" Trevor ordered. The men listened on as an Amish man tried to fight back, but the Patriots shoved him down before shooting him in the head, shocking everyone. Suddenly, Isaiah looked as they were bringing all the women and children from their houses, including his very own. "Hunter's whore! The pregnant woman you had here!" he shouted. "I have never wanted to curse a man in my life. Until now," he said. Trevor aimed the gun at his forehead as Bethany screamed, "No, please! She was here! She took off with her brother hours ago," she said. "Where?" he asked. "I don't know, but I'm telling you the truth, please," she said. Trevor smiled before immediately shooting her in the head, killing her. Everyone screamed in horror as Manny and Obadiah were horrified. "We have to do something," he said. Trevor then holstered his gun as Isaiah and his girls screamed in horror. Mary shielded her little sister as the other women and children were crying. "Put them all in the church," he ordered. The Patriots listened and dragged everyone to the Amish school church. They moved them at gunpoint as everyone cried and begged on, as Trevor then locked the doors with a pair of handcuffs. The Patriots started dousing gasoline on the other parts of the building as everyone inside was panicking, begging to be free. He then pulled out and lit his lighter. "What did you light?" he said before tossing it on the ground. The flames started as the fire was spreading. "No!" Manny said, running forward. He fired his gun at them, nearly hitting Trevor. "Fuck!" he said. Obadiah joined him as he also fired his gun, killing the Patriots. They ducked from the massive gunfire storm. They were low on ammo. Suddenly, another Humvee comes inside the community. We see Benjamin and a few defective Patriots as Benjamin drives right into two Patriots with his car, killing them both. He then steps forward with his rifle. "Go! Go! Put out that fire!" he shouted. Trevor looked on as he was being ambushed from both sides. Benjamin entered the house and used the second-story window as they all engaged. Back in Helios, we see Liza and everyone sending the last group of civilians away from the compound, when all of a sudden, several of her Patriots are killed. "What the?" she asked, turning around. She then saw Caden and a massive group of his loyalists aiming their guns in the distance. "How could you, Liza?" he asked before firing his gun. Multiple gunshots erupted as they engaged. Back in Eden, Adrian arrives and looks at the chaos. "What the hell is going on?" he asked. "Trevor and the Patriots came and locked everyone in the church. Benjamin is here," he said. "How in the hell will I know who to hit?" he asked. "Hit the bad ones," Manny said. "Shit," Adrian said. "Fucking hit the bad ones," he said, taking his gun before firing. The people were suffocating and screaming. "That's it! I'm going for it!" he shouted. Manny ran for the door as he kept firing his gun. He fired, breaking the handcuff. "Hurry, hurry, come on!" he shouted. Everyone was running past. Trevor looked, seeing them escaping. Obadiah, Adrian, Benjamin, and others continued to fire their guns as Trevor aimed his at the crowd. Suddenly, a Patriot was thrown out of the window as Benjamin plunged the machete into another. Trevor aimed and fired as the fleeting Amish screamed. He saw Mary. Manny pushed Mary out of the way as a bullet hit his chest. "No!" Obadiah shouted. Everyone looked as Manny dropped down from the shot. The Amish kept running from the burning building. Benjamin saw it and got angry as he then took his rifle and fired, killing a Patriot right next to Trevor. In a house, as he and other Amish men pulled out a bag. "It's time," he said. "Everyone take one!" he shouted. They came out of the houses with handguns and rifles as the Amish took cover and fired their new guns at Trevor and his remaining men. Trevor and them fired, but they were now outgunned and outnumbered as he cursed. "Fuck!" he said as he retreated. Benjamin fired his rifle, but missed as they covered his escape. "Fuck!" he said as he fired again, killing one more. Isaiah then fired his rifle multiple times, blowing the head off a Patriot in the window. Trevor ducked before reversing it and driving off. Benjamin aimed and fired, but it clicked empty. "Fucking fuck!" he said. Outside, everyone was gathering. Mary and Annie, full of tears, hugged their father as Benjamin went over to them. "Are you all okay?" he asked. "He murdered Bethany," Isaiah said. Benjamin looked at the devastated girls and corpse of their mother, and then looked back at the flames. As Obadiah was dragging someone, Benjamin ran forward. "Hold on, man, just hold on!" he shouted. "Doctor! We need a doctor!" he shouted as Benjamin ran to Manny, dying and buzzed on. "Oh, fuck, Manny," Benjamin said, seeing his friend bleeding. "I'll be okay," he said. "I did it." He said. "Stop talking like that! You're going to live! You hear me?" Bud said. He said. "It's okay. It's okay," he said. Benjamin grabbed his hand, squeezing it. "And stay with us," he said before stopping. Benjamin looked as Manny let go of his hand. "Manny! Manny!" Bud shouted. Obadiah began to cry. "No! Damn it! Fuck no!" he cried, holding his friend. Benjamin was saddened and furious as he pulled out his knife. Let me do it. My best friend, he said. Bud cried as he plunged the knife in Mandy's head as Benjamin looked on. Benjamin clenched his fist in anger at another great loss. In Helios, we see Matt Mercer and the Commonwealth Army make it to the outskirts of Helios as they notice that the gate is open and there's massive gunfire going off. Shanton looked at him. "Alright men, this is it," he said, as inside Helios we see everyone firing at each other as bodies and bodies were piling up, dozens of them in the hallways. Liza and Caden were both wounded as Liza aimed her gun, killing one of his Patriots. "I trusted you the most out of anyone! How could you betray me?" he shouted. "Shut the fuck up! You fucking monster! You killed my family! Did you think I wouldn't find out?" she said. "I was protecting you, but it's clear to me there's no saving you," he said, moving to the corner. Caden fired his rifle, killing two of hers, and then moved to the corner. A defectee had an empty gun, but Caden pulled out his knife, stabbing him in the neck, killing him. Liza tried to make a brave for it as her loyalists were getting massacred. She then took a grenade and threw it at Caden and them, shouted. "Clear!" he said, as it exploded. Inside Helios, we see Trevor and his few loyalists heading to the armory. It was mostly ransacked. "Fuck! Take everything that's left!" he shouted. He then got on his radio. "Attention, this is Captain Dallas. I need all remaining personnel to head for the armory ASAP," he ordered. Back with Liza, she was gunning down the rest of them as bodies were everywhere. She looked around for Caden with her defectees when suddenly they were shot in the head. Caden fired, hitting her in the arm as she screamed, killing the rest of her men. They were dead as Liza was grabbed by the neck and shoved to the wall by Caden. He aimed his gun at her. "After everything we've been through, all the years, all that we shared, all for nothing. I loved you," he said. "No, you never did," she said before kicking him in the groin. He missed his shot as she grabbed into the gun. She kicked him in the stomach as he screamed. "This is for my family!" she screamed. Caden, however, discarded the gun and ducked, grabbing her leg before flipping her to the ground. He then gave her a right hook. The blow disoriented her as Caden started punching her. She then slashed him with her knife. His forearm was cut. "Fuck!" he said. He then pulled out his knife and machete. "I don't want to kill you," he said. "But this is it for you! I'm not letting you leave this place alive," he said. Liza then took her knife. "Then let's end it. Once and for all," she said. They clashed blades as they both dodged and were cut. They traded blow after blow, kick after kick, and cut after cut. There was no stopping them. In another part, we see Benjamin make it to the warehouse as he looked, seeing a bag of smoke grenades. He then looked, seeing a medical shipping container. He opened it and looked, seeing it was full of medical oxygen tanks. In another part of the community, we see Sean, Matt, Carlson, and the other Commonwealth soldiers. They heard all the gunfire around them, keeping alert, as Sean and the others went through the marketplace. Sean then stopped. He was surprised as he went over to a table and grabbed something. It was Elise. Matt noticed it. "Kid," he signaled him. Sean flipped it over, revealing on the collar the name Merle. It was Merle's collar. Sean began to cry, holding it. No, please, no," Sean cried. "What's he doing?" Carlson asked. "Captain, lead him through. We'll catch up," he said. "But sir," he said. "No buts, go now," he ordered. Commonwealth soldiers left as Matt looked at a devastated Sean. Sean was against the table on his knees, crying. "He killed him," he cried. Matt lowered himself to Sean and started comforting Sean. "Your dog?" he asked. "Yes. It wasn't just a dog. It was my best friend. He saved me so many times. He was a good boy. Why would they kill him? It just makes no fucking sense," he asked. "I don't know," Matt said. I'll kill them. I'll kill them all. Every last one of them. I'll kill Caden. I'll kill him! Sean cried as Matt Mercer held on to him. The young man cried into Matt's arms as the man comforted a devastated Sean. Caden and Liza continued to fight as they screamed into each other. He stabbed her in the leg as she stabbed him in the side. They both screamed as he punched her in the face. He broke her nose. Blood poured from her face as Caden ran and slammed his foot down. She dodged his kick as she used her feet, wrapping them around his as she tripped him. Caden slammed down as she delivered a barrage of many fast punches. As she screamed, punching him non-stop, he headbutted her forehead, bashing her. Meanwhile, in another spot inside the compound, Trevor and his large group of 150 men combed through the hallways. Their radio went off. "Anyone? I found Hunter! He's in the warehouse! Ah!" he shouted as he was killed. Trevor heard him. "Come on, we can't lose him!" he shouted. Trevor and his men saw the dead Patriots littering the floor, as he also saw empty smoke grenades in the warehouse. Trevor sees all the smoke and possible tear gas all throughout the air. "Masks on!" he ordered. "Copy," they said, all listening. As they entered the warehouse, the massive army all aimed their guns and searched for him, as Trevor got on his earpiece. "Come on, Black Wolf. Where are you?" he asked before stepping on some fluid. "Is this all you got, Smoke? You think all this fucking smoke will stop us? You think you can hide? Look around you! There's 150 of us and only one of you," he said. They passed by propane and canisters. "Do you hear something?" someone asked. "No," Trevor said. "Did you hear me, Hunter? It's over!" he shouted. Outside, we see a hand holding a walkie as the man raises it to his mouth and presses it. "You're right. This is over," Benjamin said as Trevor looked. He looked, seeing a window in far distance above him. Trevor then looked at the canisters. "This is oxygen?" Trevor's eyes widened as he was terrified and ran. Outside, Benjamin aimed his sniper rifle. The bullet pierced through the window, hitting a propane tank as it exploded. The explosion set the entire air on fire as the oxygen and gasoline-filled warehouse exploded. The soldiers incinerated to the bone. The entire warehouse was exploded and engulfed in massive flames. Benjamin watched from the rooftop as the fires killed him. Back in the fight, Caden and Liza were both beaten and bloody and exhausted as they kept fighting on. They breathed heavily as Liza looked at the wall of the fallen, seeing the pictures of her family. Liza was crying as she then looked at him. "What would Lacey and Kaylee say if they could speak to you right now?" she said. "Shut up!" he said. "If they were still alive, they still would have left you," she said. "Stop it!" he cried. "They would have been ashamed of you, of the monster you became," she said. "I'll kill you!" he said, tackling her to the ground. He then took his knife and stabbed her right in the stomach. She gasped as he drove the knife into her, as his face was full of tears and rage. "You made me do this, damn you!" he said. "I know," she said, as Caden gasped and started coughing blood. Blood started coming from his mouth as he looked down. He saw a knife right under his protective vest. Liza let go of it as she was dying. "I'll see you in hell," she said. Liza was silent as she slowly dropped her head down, slowly closing her eyes. She stopped moving as Caden coughed more blood. He collapsed off her body as he held onto his bleeding side. "No," he said, terrified as he tried to get up, but collapsed again as he was bleeding so much. He kept coughing as he braced his back against the column as he was all alone now. Outside, we see someone waking up as they looked up at the sky. We could hear fire and see smoke and heard something else. He was fully awake as we could see it's a badly injured and burned Trevor. He looked at his feet, seeing that he was being dragged by Benjamin, who was taking him somewhere. Trevor tried to break free and shifted, making Benjamin lose his grip. Trevor was lying on the ground and tried to crawl away. "No! Fuck!" he said, slowly crawling away. Trevor was in agony. He was scared. "I can't die like this. I won't," he said, when suddenly Benjamin grabbed his leg. Benjamin twisted it, breaking his leg as Trevor screamed. Benjamin then punched him hard in the face. The mask was melted on him, so Benjamin grabbed it and ripped it off. Parts of Trevor's face peeled off as he screamed in complete agony. "Please!" he cried out, injured. Ben was standing beside Benjamin as he laughed, smiling. Benjamin stepped on Trevor's hand, breaking it too. He screamed in agony again. Benjamin then kept punching him in the face, brutally knocking out his teeth. "Stop!" Trevor begged. Benjamin then stopped and started dragging him again. Trevor panicked and screamed in pain as Benjamin didn't say a single word. "Why aren't you saying anything?" he screamed as Benjamin dragged him to a familiar spot. Trevor looked around as he flashed back to the night over 6 months ago with Carla and the others. He looked, seeing the noose. He was terrified and tried to break free again, but Benjamin grabbed him and carried him onto the stage. Trevor cried as Benjamin stayed silent, begging for mercy, as Benjamin wrapped the noose around his neck. Benjamin then kicked him off the stage as he started to hang. Trevor gasped for air in agony as Benjamin got off the stage. He turned, seeing several dead, reanimated Patriots coming towards him. Benjamin then took out his knife and stabbed Trevor right in the gut. Trevor gasped in the pain as Benjamin then slid the knife sideways as his guts began to pour out of him. Viscera and blood hit Benjamin in the chest and face, but he didn't flinch. Benjamin then moved to the side as the reanimated Patriot went over to Trevor's body and started munching on him. Trevor was lifeless as his burned, broken, and bloody body hanged on the rope, being devoured by the dead. Benjamin then stared emotionally before walking away as the dead continued. Back with Sean, him and Mercer walked past the many bodies until they saw one by the corner. Sean looked, seeing Caden Miles and the commander lying on the ground. Sean aimed his gun before smacking him in the face. "Wake up, fucker!" he shouted. Caden woke up, bleeding from his wounds. "Oh, shit, it's you," he said. "Yeah, it's me," he said. Caden looked before seeing Mercer as well. "The fucking brat and lobster man," he said. "Shut up!" Sean said, stabbing him in the side. Caden screamed as Sean twisted his knife. "You took everything from me," he said. "My home, my family, my dog, my friends," he said. "What? You want me to apologize?" he asked. "No, I want you to scream," he said, torturing him as he pulled out the knife before stabbing him again. "Stop it!" Mercer said, pulling Sean away. "What is wrong with you?" he said. "This isn't right," he said. "Fuck off!" Sean said, taking his gun and firing his gun at Caden's kneecap. He screamed as Mercer grabbed Sean's gun. "Stop it!" he shouted. "Leave me alone!" he said, firing another shot. Mercer let go as Sean pulled his gun back angrily. He looked, seeing blood come down. General Mercer gasped as he held onto his throat, coughing up blood, as there was a hole in the back of his neck. He dropped to his knees. No, I didn't mean to," Sean said, horrified, with Matt dropping to the ground, dead. Suddenly, he heard laughing. "Good job, kid," he said. Sean turned back to him in anger. "You think this is funny?" Sean asked. "Little, yeah," he said. "It reminds me of when I killed the Baker family," he said. "What?" Sean asked. "Yeah, I killed Chris first, threw him out of a building. As for the boys and their mother, I killed her first, and then them. You probably wondered, who would save them?" he asked, taunting him. Sean aimed his gun, crying a lot. "Go ahead, do it, do it," he said. Sean then looked to his right and then lowered his gun. "Do it, so I can finally be with my family," he said. "No," Sean said. "You're not going to see them." "Burn in hell, you fucking monster," he said, as Liza opened her eyes. Sean then smiled as she snarled at him. "No!" he said. "Kill me! Fucking kill me!" he shouted. "Why?" Sean asked, smiling. "You're already dead," he smiled, as Liza bit into Caden's face, tearing off his cheek. "Ah!" he screamed in horror as Sean watched, enjoying it. Sean watched on as Caden was devoured, finally putting an end to it. Elsewhere, we see reanimated Patriots snarling as Benjamin pulled out his machete, killing them as he looked around. Benjamin had gunshots, cuts, burns, and debris on him, not to mention large amounts of blood and guts. He was exhausted, partially looked dead himself. As he looked around, gathering all the ammo he could, he then heard the sound of a zombie. He saw a biter munching on someone, as there were bodies everywhere. He looked at it, he said. She snarled at him, but she immediately shot in the head. He fell backwards as Benjamin lowered his smoking gun. He then looked, seeing the older, dead man on the ground, covered in weird red armor. He picked up his dog tag, Mercer Matthew, before taking it. He then looked at what he assumed was Caden. His face was partially eaten off, with one eye open. Benjamin then fired his gun into his head. "Fucking burn it now," he said. Caden's body dropped down to the ground, as was Benjamin was exhausted. He looked around some more, finding an Uzi, and checked its clip. It had a full mag, so he took it. Suddenly, he heard screaming as many gunshots were fired, not that far from him. Benjamin ran to the sound as he busted through a door. He dropped dead as he saw a group of men next to a wall. They all had their hands raised, surrendering. Sean turned around and fired nearly at Benjamin. "Shit!" he said. Sean was shocked. "Ben?" he said in disbelief. "Help us! This kid is insane!" they shouted. "Shut up!" Sean said as he fired his gun, killing the same man. "Sean, stop!" Benjamin said. Benjamin got in the way as he was approaching Sean. "Don't try to stop me, Ben! I mean it!" he said. Benjamin was completely shocked, not just at the brutality of his little brother, but how cold he was being to even him. "Sean, please," Benjamin begged. "They killed Mo, Jordan, and Dylan too. Carla!" he said, crying. Outside, we see a massive fire as a large building was burning. Walkers were devouring multiple corpses as they were all in a courtyard, free and roaming around. We see charcoaled bodies. Some of them were beginning to reanimate as they woke up and growled. Everywhere, loud panting was heard as Patriots were firing their guns, trying to stay alive, as the walkers were cornering them. "Where's the general?" they shouted. "Who the hell cares? We need to get the hell out of here!" he stated, as they fired their guns on the oncoming horde. They were running out of ammo, as the dead were closing in on them. In another hallway, a large amount of men entered a building. As they stomped through the hallway, broken glass was everywhere as smoke was emitted from the building. The smoke was getting worse as miles away, several black helicopters flew through the sky. The black helicopters were full of soldiers, all armed and armored. In the building, a bloody hand was shaking. The bloody hand was holding a gun. "Why are you doing this? Just step aside," Sean said with blood on his face. His face was a mixture of fear and anger as he kept standing his ground. "You can't do that, Sean," Benjamin told him as he was branding a Patriots uniform. "You're all dead. There's no one left but us. It's all because of me. I thought you were gonna protect us. Protect me!" he cried. "But you couldn't protect anyone. We needed you. You took too long," Sean said. "Sean, he said, being interrupted. "So I'm doing this. I have to do this. I am doing what you've always done. Killing every last one of them. Taking out every possible threat. Making myself into something to fear," Sean said, determined. "I can't let you do that, Sean," he said. "Fuck you for doing this.
for choosing them after everything we've lost, he said. I'm not making you do anything, Sean. This isn't for them. This is for you. Please, just lower the gun. Come back to us. To me, he said, raising his hands. No, you lied to me. I am done letting everyone protect me, because they can't. I am done with people trying to shield me from the cruel world, because they can't. I am done being some brat that people push around, and people use and manipulate. I am done letting people tell me what to do, because they don't know shit. Step aside now, Sean said. I don't want to shoot you, but I will if you make me, Sean said with tears in his eyes. Benjamin came closer. I swear I'll shoot you! Step back! Sean said, crying. Benjamin got closer, putting the gun to his heart. Sean, do you remember the day we met? He asked softly, making Sean cry even more than before. Don't do this. Don't become a monster. Don't become me. It's not right. You shouldn't have to. I love you, Sean, he said as Sean closed his eyes when the gun went off as Sean screamed, No!
Benjamin hugged him as he quickly took his Uzi before turning around and firing it backwards as he gunned down the remaining Patriots behind him. They all screamed as they were riddled with bullets. Blood sprayed as Benjamin finished shooting all 10 men to death. Benjamin ran out of ammo from his gun as he turned back to an angry Sean.
Why did you do that? I wanted to kill them,
he said, furious. Sean, Benjamin said, trying to get his attention.
Why didn't you let me do it? That was mine,
Sean said.
I wanted to be just like you, but now you're stopping me. Why?
He asked.
Because I love you,
Benjamin said.
And the last thing I would ever want is for you to become me,
Benjamin said. Sean stopped as he looked, seeing that he grazed Benjamin in the side with his shot. Benjamin cringed at the pain and applied pressure on him.
Shot you,
he said, horrified. It's okay. I got lucky, he said. Sean began to cry.
What the fuck is wrong with me? I almost killed you,
he cried as Benjamin hugged him.
I'm so sorry, Ben. I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
he said as the brothers lay there hugging.
You too, Sean. You too.
Benjamin cried, comforting him. Hours later on the road, Benjamin was finally driving the both of them home. Sean looked outside the window, not looking at Benjamin. There's a whole world out there full of monsters, he said. Yes, but there are good people too, he said. And I killed one of them, Sean said. Do you think my mom, John, and Carla would be ashamed of me? Sean asked, trying not to cry. Benjamin looked at him, trying to drive and help Sean at the same time. I think they would see you're confused and struggling, like I did, he said. Did? Sean asked. Sean, I struggled with my inner demons more times than I could count. I have taken 602 lives from this world. I've hallucinated a dark version of myself for months. I couldn't handle being apart from you and Rachel. It took everything I had and more to not give up. Everyone from before and after, most of them are dead now. As hard as it was, I can't give up. Everyone that died deserves better. So I'm fighting so that more innocent people don't die. I'm fighting for something more than just us. I'm fighting for a future for this world, he said. I talked with Alice. She told me that Rachel is pregnant, he said. What? Sean said, shocked. It's true, he said. Holy shit, he said. I can't believe it. How do you feel? He asked. Honestly, a bit of everything. I feel happy and scared, but also regretful and sad. I left Rachel alone to deal with that for so long. I should have been there for her, for you, for everyone. I know I wasn't there, but I had hoped that I'm not too late, he said. Sean was still shocked. So she was pregnant all this time? Sean was amazed. That's right. And I know that I'm not good enough of a man to be a father to our child, but I'm going to try. Even if I might fail, he said. I'm going to try and make things better, to make things right. The baby deserves a better world, and I'm going to do everything I can to give it that. But I can't do it alone, he said. You, Tyler, Rachel, make me stronger. It wasn't all of you that needed me. It was me that always needed you, he said. You're wrong. We needed you too. I'm sorry I blamed you for being too late, he said. I was so messed up in my mind. I let myself become like the monsters we killed. But I want to become better too, Sean said. I want to protect all of you. I want to save people and atone for what I've done, he said. I have to. I owe everyone that. And still living that, he said. And you will, Benjamin said, smiling, as Sean smiled as they continued to drive down the road. In Helios, we see a massive group of CRM soldiers finishing off the last of the dead. Many of them are taking pictures of the destruction of their bodies. Look at this, the soldier said, taking a picture of the reanimated Trevor in the The CRM soldier aimed his rifle and fired, killing him. A radio message went through. Sir, we searched the warehouse, discovered the remains of our previously stolen bird, he stated. Understood. Attention, this is the lead. All units, be ready to evac the zone, HQ in 10, he stated. They all listened on as they stared off at Trevor's corpse. What happened here? The CRM soldier asked. In the woods, the walker was snarling and growling as they turned, hearing a loud sound. Suddenly, it was bashed and struck by a black paper vehicle as it exploded in a mist of guts and blood. Its head flew off its body as the car stopped. The walker smeared into a bloody mess of red paint as the vehicle crushed it into paste. What the hell was that? Sean asked. Nothing. Don't worry about it, Benjamin said. Okay, Sean said. Benjamin began to turn off and power the car down. Wait, why are we stopping? Sean asked. I need to do something really quick, he said. Benjamin got to the back as he looked, seeing the large body covered. Sean stood next to him sadly. Are we burying him? Sean asked. We will, Benjamin said as Ben stood behind him. Get back inside. I won't be long, he said, handing Sean a gun. Sean handed him the keys too, as he watched Sean go inside. He then looked at Mercer's body. I'm sorry this happened, he said. You didn't deserve this. Please forgive Sean. Forgive me, he said. I'll make sure your family knows, he said. I owe you a proper burial. Benjamin finished as he walked away. Benjamin stood in the back, staying silent and watching him. Benjamin walked for a while by himself in the woods. No walkers in sight, only him, birds chirping in the tall trees. Benjamin then went to the lake and began to wash his dirty and bloody face. He looked much better, but still had serious cuts all around his face and head. I know you're back there, Benjamin said to his other self. You should be proud of him. He's stronger now, Ben said. Benjamin turned around, looking at his dark self. He stood up. I wouldn't exactly call it that, he said. Sean got strong enough, and he's alive. He did it. Caden, Liza, and Trevor are all dead. The war is finally over, Ben said happy. This is over, Benjamin said to himself. Seriously? What do you mean? Ben asked. This is the end. The end of us, he finished. Ben deviously smiled. You can't be serious, he said. I am, Benjamin said. You know fucking well that without me, Ben said before Benjamin interrupted you. Without you, I would be a hell of a lot happier and free. You've fucked up my mind long enough, he said. I helped you save them. I reminded you of everyone we lost, he said. Exactly, Benjamin said, as Ben was confused. Look at yourself.
You're still stuck in the past, stuck on the deaths of Mom, Dad, and Brandon, but they weren't on us. They just happened. We couldn't save them. We can't bring them back. When I was you, all I ever felt was pain, regret, and guilt, but that's not who I want to be anymore. Rachel is going to have our child soon. I don't want to ever be you ever again. I don't want our child to see that version of me. Sean did, and a good man died, and it's eating him alive, he said. It was worth it, Ben said. For everyone else to live, no cost is too great for survival, he said. Benjamin then grabbed his other self. Ben was laughing. You can't kill me. I'm in your head, always. I'm never leaving you, he said. Yes, you will, because I'm going to forget, he said. No, you can't, Ben shouted. I can and I will, Benjamin said. I thought I needed you to be strong enough to fight everyone that attacked us. Mortars, the Outcasts, Damien, Xavier, the Ragers, the CRM, the Patriots, but I don't. All this time, all I needed were the ones I loved by my side. I needed them more than I ever thought. I needed to trust them, believe in them more, not separate myself from them in our humanity. Not hurt them and become you, he said. There is no humanity. We are extinction. We're supposed to bring death to all the evil in this world. You swore it, he said. And now I'm giving that up. I can't change this cruel world, and that's okay. But I am not taking this darkness with me anymore. Not for my brothers, not for Rachel, and not for our child, he said, shocking Ben. Brandon, Carla, and John died, wanting me to be happy, to stop taking the whole weight of the world on my shoulders. And that's what I'm going to do. I don't want my child to ever see you in me, he said. Goodbye and good riddance, Benjamin said as he began to walk away from his other self. Get back here, Ben said. Don't do it! I have to see Rachel and our baby. Please! I'm begging you, don't do this! You need me! I need you! Ben screamed loudly and desperately as Benjamin sighed and kept going, leaving him in the forest. Benjamin felt the sun in his face and began to smile as he kept walking away by the creek. We see that Ben was no longer there. It was finally. Hours later, Kat, Angela, and Lucas were on the wall keeping watch. Hey Lucas, how are you holding up? She asked. I'm fine. I'm just glad it's finally over, he said. I know what you mean, Kat said. I don't know about these stormtrooper guys, but they saved our lives. I just hope all this fighting is finally done, she said. At least some good came out of this hell, Angela said. I wonder what happened to Benjamin and the others, Ethan said, before being interrupted. Guys, look! Lucas said. The women looked. Kat looked through her rifle, as Angela looked through a pair of binoculars. Holy shit, she said. The gates opened as Benjamin and Sean drove through them. Suddenly, Benjamin looked, seeing a massive army of white armored soldiers. He got out of the car. The soldiers were approaching him. Carlson stepped forward, blocking them. Hey kid, what happened with you and the general? We lost contact with you guys back in the chaos. We hoped you guys would come here, he said. Sean was nervous and sad, but Benjamin gently took his shoulder, protecting him. It's okay, he said, looking at the man. My name is Benjamin Hunter. I am the leader of Huntington. I was taken by force by the Patriots last year to serve them. My brother here told me he was with your general. He told me he was a good man, he said. Was? Carlson asked. I'm sorry. In the chaos this morning, your leader, he was shot and killed, he said. I'm sorry for your loss, he said. No fucking way, Carlson said, not believing it. I'm sorry. It's true, Sean said. We brought his body. It's in the truck. I'm truly sorry. He looked at the truck, seeing Mercer covered with the mat, as the soldiers all murmured with one another. Just fucking hope, they said, devastated. Benjamin told them he would let them mourn as he tried to give them space until he stopped them. No, Carlson stopped him, as Benjamin noticed. My friend trusted this kid. He took us for miles to deal with your fucking problem, and now you bring us his dead body? What kind of sick fucking joke is this? He said. Benjamin looked at him in the eyes. I know you're in pain and sadness right now, but I have killed nearly 200 people today. He said, I'm kindly asking you this once. Let go of me, he threatened. Everyone aimed their guns at each other. Benjamin's people plus the defected Patriots stared down the Commonwealth. Both sides were angry. Stop it, all of you! Sean shouted. This isn't what he would have wanted! We just finished a war! Enough good people have died! He said. He's right. We've all lost so much, but we don't have to assign blame. We don't have to become enemies. We can become allies and build a better world. The kind your general would have wanted, he said, as Carlson let go, nodding. Everyone lowered their guns, as Benjamin then saw a red-haired doctor. Alice? He said. Benjamin shoved past the Commonwealth soldiers as he ran to her. Benjamin startled her as he jumped forward, grabbing her. Alice, what are you doing here? He asked. Oh, God, Benjamin, you scared the hell out of me, she said. I'm sorry, he said, letting go. He then saw that she had some blood on her. What happened? He asked. Ben! Tyler ran forward and hugged Benjamin from the side. He was shocked. Tyler! I'm so glad you're okay. Thank God, he said. I missed you so much. We never stopped believing you'd come back to us, he said. Nothing can stop me from... Wait, where's Rachel? Is she here too? He asked. Benjamin looked at how speechless Alice and Tyler were. What is it? He asked. Several minutes later, we see Benjamin running to a door. It was the door to their house. Alice and Tyler looked and watched as Benjamin went. Benjamin's hand shook like crazy over the doorknob as he grabbed a hold of it before slowly turning it. The door opened as Benjamin let out a weak call. Rachel, he said. Benjamin opened the door as everything was quiet. Benjamin's anxiety was through the roof as he was breathing heavily. He saw her lying motionless on the couch. He saw her beautiful long brown hair as he moved towards her. She was very pale and skinny. Rachel slowly opened her eyes and looked as Benjamin was standing right in front of her. Benjamin stood up, tall, visibly shaking, as he slowly lowered himself to her. Rachel gave a weak smile and responded. I knew you'd come back, she said. I'm so sorry, he said, crying. Benjamin looked, seeing her belly was gone, and her pain stayed. It's my fault! I should have known you were pregnant, he cried over her. He then took her hands as he held onto them, crying and shaking. Why are you crying? She asked. I'm the happiest woman in the world right now, she said. Benjamin stopped crying, shocked at her words. What? He asked. Turn around, she said. Benjamin turned around and looked, seeing something near the wall, a little thing wrapped in cloth. Benjamin slowly got up and stepped towards it. As he looked, seeing a face, it was the face of a little baby with its eyes closed. Benjamin covered his mouth in his hands in shock and happiness as he turned back to Rachel. Rachel smiled at him. Benjamin then turned back to the baby and slowly bent over, carefully picking it up. The baby made a few noises as he gently carried it back to its mother. He looked at Rachel in awe. It's a girl, she said. Benjamin exhaled as he looked at their newborn baby daughter. She's beautiful, he cried. Just like her mother, he said. He took Rachel's hand before kissing her on the head. I don't feel very beautiful right now, she said. Nonsense. You're the most beautiful I've ever seen you in my entire life, Benjamin said as he held on to their daughter. I'm sorry, she said. For what? Benjamin asked, confused. For not telling you before you left that day, she said. Benjamin wanted to interrupt, but listened on. I was so uncertain about it. Thought I was just getting sick, adjusting to our married life, and then I took a pregnancy test to make sure, but it had a chance of being inaccurate, so I didn't want to get your hopes high. Then, when Dr. Roberts told me, I was scared if I was bringing a baby into a world like this. I didn't want to put more on you, she said. And I was worried what kind of mother I was going to be.
she said as Benjamin cried. I realized I was just being stupid, she said. Benjamin held onto her hand. When I found out the truth, I felt the same way. I was terrified after we defeated the Patriots. What kind of father I was going to become, he said. But now I know, he said. The kind she needs and deserves, he said. I was so scared, and I still am a bit, but I am here now, and that's where I'm going to stay from now on, he said. Rachel smiled. So it's really over? She asked. It's over, Benjamin said. We're free, he said, happy. Our daughter is going to be lucky to have a father like you to protect her, she said. And she's going to be lucky to have the most amazing mother in the world, he said back. I love you, Benjamin Hunter, she said. I love you too, Rachel. More than anything in this world, he said. The family stood there in a happy silence, finally reunited at long last. In Huntington, we see the citizens, soldiers, and remaining survivors of the city all cleaning up from the battle prior. They were wrapping up the bodies of their fallen people and burning bodies of loyalist patriots. Some of them were picking up bullet casings, broken glass, and other debris. We then see Benjamin walking along the street as he was carefully holding his baby daughter. She was asleep as he smiled and stared at her. The little baby was carefully wrapped in a blanket, keeping her warm. Everyone was looking in complete shock and awe at Benjamin as they all waved to him. Many of them, like Obadiah and the others, congratulated and thanked him. Angela and Ethan also joined in, thanking Benjamin for ending the Patriots and welcoming him home. Benjamin smiled back at his friends, and some of them began to clap and cheer for him. He also looked on, seeing some Commonwealth and Greensville soldiers. Benjamin walked inside the city park with his baby girl as he slowly walked on the grass. He was in the cemetery walking to a tombstone as Benjamin stopped walking and stood in front of a grave. He stared at it for multiple seconds, not saying anything at all. We see the front of the angel tombstone. Carla Ramirez. Hi, Carla, he said. It's been a while since we last talked, he said. A lot's happened since I saw you last in the city, he said. I still remember that day you and Manny invited yourselves in for breakfast and had some of our bacon and pancakes, he said, chuckling. I faced a lot more monsters out there, did horrible things, suffered a lot of things I can't explain. Killed hundreds of CRM and Patriots, he said. I almost drowned in my own darkness that I created. I almost lost Sean to it too, he said, nervous. And then I found out that you protected Sean. Saved him that night. You wouldn't tell them where the city was. You protected us even until the end, he said. I hated myself for not being able to save you. I thought if I had just tried harder, maybe I could have saved you that night. You wanted to tell me that Rachel was pregnant. I was too stupid to even notice she was, but you weren't. You were both our best friend. I miss you so much, Carla. You were always there to make me laugh, even when I wanted a break from you. You loved me so much as a friend. You didn't make me feel guilty when I chose Rachel. You were so happy for us on our wedding. You would have been a great aunt, he said, crying. Benjamin looked at his daughter. Oh, I'm sorry. Carla, this is our baby girl. We named her Carly, he said, showing and presenting her. You see her? He asked. Carly made some sounds as Benjamin smiled. Isn't she beautiful? He asked. Who would have thought I would become a father one day, he said happily. I wish you could be here now, Carla, for her to meet you. I want her to meet you. She deserves it, but I can't give her that, he said sadly. He gently held onto her tightly as he looked back at Carla. But I can't give her a safe, good life. I know I can. I will protect her. Even if I couldn't save you, I blame myself for that, but I don't believe you want me to hold on to that pain, so I won't. I love you, Carla. I hope one day I will see you again. I hope you're happy with John, parents, Rebecca, Hannah, Manny, and all the other good people we've lost. The day we met, I was just a lost kid that passed out on the street. I was bloody, hurt, and lost. You and John didn't know me, but that didn't matter, he said. Benjamin then heard a lot of commotion back in the city. He looked, seeing the refugees from Helios, Commonwealth soldiers, and people from Greensville. Benjamin then turned back to her. And because of you, all of this was possible. Thank you for everything you did, Carla. For me, for Rachel, for all of us, he said, gently touching the tombstone. I have to go back with those soldiers to their community. It's in Ohio. They call it the Commonwealth. You're saying it's a good community, and if that's true, forming an alliance can help us become strong again. Strong enough to protect Carly and everyone else here. I'll be speaking with their leader when I get there. I really don't want to leave Rachel again, but I know I'm coming right back, he said. I won't be unprepared like before. Whatever happens, whatever threats come here, we'll be ready, he said, certain. And I'm going to protect her from the horrors out there. Carly will be safe. I plan on creating a better world for her. I owe her that, he said. You all died in a cruel world, but this isn't the end. This isn't extinction. I'll make sure it isn't. I'll make sure your sacrifices live on. This world isn't dead, he said, looking at Carly. It can't be. There's still a future because I see it in her. I have to go now. Goodbye, Carla. See you soon, he said, getting up. As Carly made more cute sounds, Benjamin smiled and held onto her more closely. He joyfully secured her as Benjamin turned around, walking back to the city, carrying his daughter in his arms as he began leaving the cemetery. As it zoomed out, we see all the soldiers and civilians in the city helping one another. It was a brand new day, a brand new world. Finally, they were free. The sun shined as the world looked peaceful.
Atop the crags and cliffs, the air is thin. So we'll find a mountain path on down the hill. Meet me where the snow melt flows. It is there, my dear, where we'll begin again. Skip and stones, braiding hair. Last year's antlers mark the trail. Take us back, oh, take us back, oh, take us back. Take us back, oh, take us back, oh, take us back. When the higher hills have turned to blue and the waves are lapping where the children grew, all that we have known will just beyond the silent surface of what has gone.
Far away, a large black wolf runs in the forest inside the remote mountains of Ohio. It stood up on a rock before it howled in the air. Its howl roared through the trees. Afterwards, the wolf turned to a sound. Far away, we see a train going at full speed to an unknown destination. After it stops, we see several Commonwealth soldiers waiting at the end of the train with a jeep. The soldiers began to unload crates from the train and onto the jeep. The jeep was driving through the dirt road in the large plain of mountains, where it arrives in a secluded open space in the mountains. We see them slow down and stop the jeep as they get out. We see a man in all black waiting for them. He was surrounded by Commonwealth soldiers. As he watched them bring the crates, suddenly he looked up and saw a tiny black spot in the sky. The black spot was getting bigger as it slowly got louder too. In the sky, the helicopter landed in the open space. As the leading man stood facing forward, some of the soldiers began to speak. "Why are we still meeting with these people after we lost bringing that reporter for Governor Milton?" he asked. "I don't know. All I know is that our trading system has changed." The helicopter landed. As we see, it was a CRM helicopter. Out of the vehicle, a black boot steps out as we see that it is Wells. Wells exited the helicopter with his CRM troopers now spotting a shaved head. "Major Wells," the senior head officer greeted, shaking his hand. The men talked for a little bit as there was something in the woods. "And I am to assume the new governor and lieutenant governor have no knowledge of designation 2? Wells asked. "None whatsoever, Major. They are completely occupied with the rebuilding of the city," he stated. The two leaders looked over the crates and traded supplies for information. Major Wells looked, opening one of the crates, seeing all the declassified files and missing person reports. "I assure you, sir, they're all there like you requested. The general will be pleased," he said. "He better be. And you will see that the supplies are to your specifications," told him, uninterested. Afterwards, we see the helicopter powering up. "We'll be back," Wells said, as he got inside the helicopter and flew away with it. The senior head officer watched on as he and the other Commonwealth soldiers got inside the jeep and left. "You scam those morons good. You get rid of all the evidence tying us to Designation 2 and get gasoline and morphine," the soldier stated, as the head officer smiled on. Later that day, we see the head senior officer in his office, as he looked through some papers and files. He took his radio. "Captain Stone, I need an update on the shipment departure," he said. 10 seconds go by and no response. "Captain Stone, report," he asked. "Captain Stone!" he shouted. "Lieutenant Kendall!" he demanded. Nothing was happening, so he was alarmed. Suddenly in the hallway, blood smears on the wall. The officer was scared and slowly got to the door. In the hallway, we see many suppressed weapons firing as more blood sprays out. A severed hand drops to the ground. Men were screaming as more blood sprayed on the ground. He opened the door as he looks through the hallway. It was pitch black. Many Commonwealth soldiers were running in the hall and trying to fight back. "Where is he? Run! Run! No, please! I don't want to die!" he heard over and over on the radio. The man was terrified as he looked into a dark hall. He used a flashlight before stepping in something. He looked down and saw a Commonwealth soldier, headless, with all of his limbs cut off and a massive pile of blood. As he cursed, dropping his flashlight, he then picked it back up before seeing another Commonwealth soldier crawling away before he was stabbed in the back as he dropped dead. Behind him was the killer, a man in all black. As the head officer took his gun and fired, He fires multiple shots at him, but the unknown assassin disappeared.
Fuck! Fuck!
The head officer shouted as he ran back to his office. He quickly closed the door and tried to call for help.
Anyone there? Please pick up! This is an emergency! I am under attack!
He shouted. Suddenly, he heard something at the door, as it was unlocked from the outside. He aimed his gun at the door, completely terrified. The door slowly opened, as he fired multiple shots and opened. The killer was gone, nowhere to be seen, until as he stood there, full of fear.
Who are you? What do you want?
He asked. Suddenly, the figure emerged from the door and ran forward. The officer fired his gun, but the bullets bounced off his armor as a slice came and chopped off his entire arm, severing it from his body as he screamed in agony. He looked up at his attacker. He slowly looked up, seeing the dark figure, a large man covered in black armor with red lines all across him. He had a utility belt full of weapons and paddings, and black straps that covered his entire body. He had a shiny, reflective visor on his helmet.
Who are you? What do you want?
He shouted. The Red Reaper didn't say anything.
I'll give you whatever you want, please,
he said, before seeing something on his body. He saw his marking, the CRM logo with 3 circles in red on his armor. The man grabbed his face, lifting him up, and stared at him in the face. The Red Reaper lifted his arm over his face. Suddenly, a blade emerged from the wrist of the Red Reaper, as the blade was slowly getting closer to the officer's eyes.
No! Please! Please don't do this! What do you want from me? I'll do anything!
He shouted. The Red Reaper got closer. The man could see his own terrified face on the reflective visor. I want you to scream. It'll make this more fun for me, the Reaper said as he used his hidden blade to slowly cut into the man's eye.
No! No! Ah!
He screamed as his eyes were being cut out of his body. He would go on as the screaming continued before stopping abruptly. In the city of Philadelphia, we see many greenhouses and windmills spinning. They tower over many of the other buildings. There was a massively tall wall around the city as there was commotion going inside. The sounds of people and children echoed loudly in the streets, as inside we see people smiling and walking from one side of the street to the other. There were food vendors selling burgers and other hot meals in the squares, as another area had a family giving up puppies for free from a cardboard box. Another man was selling newspapers from a kiosk. Some of the citizens were heading inside buildings and going to work as a vehicle passes the streets. We see a clean glass window overlooking the city. As in a high-rise apartment, we hear loud music playing inside the apartment. In the apartment, we see the unknown assassin from earlier put down his helmet on the table as he goes over to the wall. The wall had many photos on it. There were hundreds of photos, as many of them had daggers and throwing knives stuck into them, completely pinning them on the wall. Many of them had red marks on them. In the photos, we see a man holding a baby. His face was scratched out of the picture. We then see a picture of Rachel holding her baby daughter inside Huntington. It was untouched, not a single dent or scratch on it. In the other pictures on the wall, we see multiple ones of Benjamin with Rachel and the baby as a happy family. Some of them had Sean in them too, some with Alice, and several with Tyler. In another family portrait of the Hunters, Benjamin's face was covered with the red word, kill. There was another picture with his face and body covered, maim, it said. More photos showed Benjamin having a knife through them right into his face, as it showed another several dozen photos of Benjamin with the words, torture, fucker, murderer, kill, vengeance, justice, slice, cut, kill, butcher, kill, revenge, kill, bash, stab, kill, choke, burn, kill, slash, bash, kill, 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 over and over again, all written in